Hey everyone, we're here in the booth at Createx Colors. I'm Chris Arpin, and in this video we're going to show you how to do murder ghosted graphics. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do this, so stay tuned. Hey guys, we are ready to spray. This is actually going to be step 2 of what we're going to have as a 4-step process. Those of you that are familiar, we're back in the booth, we're ready to spray, and this is actually step 2 of what's going to be a 4-step process. Those of you that are familiar with the murdered candy itself, you guys can check that other video out that we do have. Maybe familiarize yourself with that if you're not. The murdered candy is just a technique in which the graphics or the actual color is muted until it gets out into direct sunlight. So it works really well on stuff that's curved or stuff that's got sharp body lines. So this is what we're going with on step 2. Now the first step was to apply our black base, our black ground coat. That's the #1 step in the whole process. But in order to just to save time, you guys, I already did this with 2 coats of Outerborn Sealer Black. I did a quick little tape out of some positive graphics. So these are going to stay the Sealer Black, and I'm going to go to step 2, which is the application of the effect coat. This particular time we're going to use our Hot Rod Sparkle Green. So I'm going to put 2 generous coats of Hot Rod Sparkle Green over this entire hood, and I really want that metallic. I want that Hot Rod Sparkle to show, so I'm not going to be ginger with it. I'm really going to put it on nice. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us that contrast with that metallic and then just the black when we untape this. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 coats. You guys can check it out and see what it is, what it looks like. We're going to let that dry, see what we think, and then we'll get this taped up for the second step, which will be a set of graphic flames. So I'm going to get ready to spray. Okay guys, we're back. Our Hot Rod Sparkle Green is all dry. You can see it's got a great effect. But what we're going to do in this video is actually take this 1 step further, and we're going to do another set of flames, so another set of graphics on top of what we already have. So our first set is already done. This is the black set that we positively taped, right? So I untaped that, and I started retaping another set. So this is my second set. So really this will be my top set that you'll see last, because this is the last set that we're going to do. And we're going to actually take our Hot Rod Sparkle again and actually just mix it with a little bit of emerald green to really richen that color up. So these will be darker than the Hot Rod Sparkle that we have neat basically over the top. So it's going to really bring some depth and dimension to this piece, and you guys will be able to see what it is you can accomplish with this murdered graphic effect, this kind of in the dark, but only when the sun is on it, it's going to pop, and it's going to really look cool. So there's really no limitation of how you guys use this, but we're going to go over just some simple ratios, the way I'm going to mix it to spray. But that's definitely not locking you in place in terms of what you can do. It's just more to kind of get your imagination going to see what you guys can accomplish. So I'm going to go ahead and get this taped up, and this will be the last set that we spray, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Hey guys, we're back in the booth. My hood is all completely taped up and ready to spray for our second graphic color. But before we get into that, I wanted to take a moment just to touch on a few topics. Now that we're doing a lot of videos and we have a lot out there, we are getting a lot of questions, and some questions that would probably be good to address for everybody, because you might have the same question. So one of those questions is, Chris is always touching everything with his bare hands. In these videos, these are demos, so I'm not super concerned because it's not that critical in terms of handprints and fingerprints. But yes, I always recommend wearing gloves anytime you're sanding your parts or in between coats of color, anytime you have raw paint, uncleared paint, or even clear coat that's sanded, or anything that you're working on for your project, you should always have gloves on. So when it comes to gloves, and we talk about wax and grease remover. So wax and grease remover, we recommend a solvent-based wax and grease remover because we are using a waterborne paint system. So I use a product from PPG. This is SX320. It is the least aggressive solvent pre-clean that they make. You don't want to use a waterborne pre-clean because it would be like taking a reducer and spraying it. It will soften it. So always use a solvent-based and use the least aggressive. You don't need anything crazy. If you're just doing it between taping or between colors, there's no reason that you should have a really heavy degreaser that'll soak into the paint. You don't need that because they're not trying to get engine oil off of it. With my wax and grease remover, I have lint-free towels. These are, once a project comes into this booth, these are the only towels that touch it. We don't use paper towels or anything after it's in this booth to get it final wiped. So these are lint-free. They're very durable. They don't leave any kind of fuzziness behind. This particular company, I believe, is Formula Products. But they have a lot. You can get them from your jobber, you know, your paint supply store online. They're just a very good low lint pre-paint towel. And last but not least, right before you actually go to your paint, after you wipe everything down, are tack rags. These are from Gerson. We probably get once a week, I think, when we get videos, they ask what kind of tack rags we're using. These are the Ultra Prep from Gerson. They're water-based, waterborne specific tack rags. They work across the board. They will work on solvent-based paint, but they're designed specifically for water. I love these. So that's my last step right before I go to paint is these tack rags right here. So now that we have that covered, we're going to talk about our graphics. Now this is the last step before we do our murder candy. So what I have, because we did our Hot Rod Sparkle Green, I'm going to color key that with our Candy 2.0 Emerald Green. So I took Emerald Green, mixed that 1-to-1 with our 40-50. Now if you guys have watched other videos, you guys know that I always mix my candies like 4-to-1 or 6-to-1. But because we're going over something darker already, and we're basically just spraying graphics, we're not trying to get a broad area, you can go a little more concentrated. And I'm actually going to mix that with our Hot Rod Sparkle Green and our Hot Rod Sparkle White. So it's basically 1-to-1-to-1-to-1 and just a little bit of reducer, about 5%, just for flow to make sure it's nice and medium wet. That's very easy, and again, because we're color keying, I don't need to have a really light candy to build up colors because it's going to do two things. When I have it more concentrated, I'm going to do less coats to build up the color that I want, and that's going to give me a lower tape edge, so I won't have this big step that I'm trying to bury when it comes time to actually clearing this. So I already have it mixed up in my gun, or my cup, and I actually wanted to touch on this too. You guys see that we use the PPS system. These are the PPS 2.0s from 3M. When you are spraying our Hot Rod Sparkle flakes, or our big large pearl, you guys got to pull this screener that comes in here. You got to take that right out. This is the only paint in our line that will not pass through these screens. These are about 200 micron screens, so they're tiny, and these will sometimes get hung up in there. Any of the smaller pearl flakes that we have, like our Sparkle Essence or our Cosmics or the highlights, those will go through it just fine, but the Hot Rod Sparkles will get jammed up in here. So you guys are going to want to go ahead and just pull that out before you start to spray. So I'm ready to go. I'm going to grab my gun, and we'll see you guys in a minute. Okay guys, we are ready to spray, and again, I can't stress this enough. I want to touch on this again real quickly. I sound like a broken record, but I mixed this 1-to-1, right? So it's our 40-50 and our candy, and that is extremely concentrated. I would never recommend spraying it that concentrated if you're trying to get coverage over an entire panel or something large that you wanted nice even candy. The only reason I'm going this concentrated is because we got small areas, it's already darker, it's already kind of color keyed with the green, and we're just doing graphics. So it's going to be a lot easier to get coverage in 2 coats or instead of doing 6 coats. So just keep that in mind. Never spray the candies that concentrated. So anyway, I'm going to start spraying. This is going to be coat number 1. Okay guys, we are back. My hood is completely untaped, and now I think you guys can really see what it was that we were doing by layering those graphics on top. Now these black ones look like they're in the back, and now this emerald green really pops, and it's going to be close to the front. So we are down to the last and most crucial step in this entire process, which is the application of our candy black. So the way I have this mixed, it's 4-to-1, so it's 4 parts 40-50 to 1 part candy black, and just a splash of reducer, almost nothing. I'm spraying with a 1-2, and the actual technique, as much as I always say you want to do a medium wet coat for your candy, this is the only time I'm going to tell you to really apply it drier, because what you're trying to do is actually, in essence, kind of create a window tint over this entire panel. So we're still going to spray the same way, same distance, about 8 inches off. We're going to do like a 75% overlap, but we're just going to try to really move fast, probably double the hand speed, and just put it on drier than I normally would spray a candy, because what we're trying to do is just block this out to the point where it almost is solid black, but probably 2 coats is going to be enough to do exactly what we want. So the other part of this that's really critical is seeing what you're doing. So for this, I have a color match light, sunlight. If you guys have just a brighter LED flashlight or something that's color corrected, it'll help, or they have the Luma. I have a Luma, but I don't have it on me right now. That works as well, but you really want to see, if you're not super familiar, you're going to want to watch what you're doing. This is the most critical part, and you really do, when I say you want to watch what the paint is doing, because if you over apply it, you're just going to wash it out. It's going to look really, really black, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first coat, show you guys what it looks like. Okay guys, we're back. Coat number 1 is dry, and you can see I was very ginger putting it on. You still want to see through it, and that's really what you want. You don't want to go heavy. So I am going to put my second coat on and see what that looks like. I think 2 is going to be the ticket. We're going to let it dry thoroughly, and then we're going to put some clear coat on it so you guys can see what it looks like. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are back in the booth. We let our hood dry overnight. I was getting towards the end of the day, so we just figured we'd let it sit overnight, which is always good. This is nice and dry, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to put my 2K top coat on the top. We're going to recommend the quality 2K top coat. If you guys have seen any of the other videos before, you guys know I use PPG products, and this is the same. This is the PPG EC550. It's a waterborne base coat system specific clear coat. So it's a great product. That's one of the things we recommend. So I'm going to go ahead and put the first coat on. You guys can see what that looks like. Okay guys, our project is all done. We are in the booth, it is all cleared, and this is the final effect that you see. Actually cleared this 2 times. I put a couple coats of our PPG EC550 down, I let it dry, and I decked it with 600 and re-cleared it just to lose those tape lines. You guys get the real visual impact of what it is that we're doing here. So I just want to give a quick little review now that we're wrapped up, and actually we'll try to take this outside. We got a sunny day, so you really get the full visual effect and the sunlight outside. So the candy black was the last step, and that, again, I can't stress how critical that is and how you apply it. Mixed it 4-to-1, so it's 4 parts 40-50 to 1 part candy black. A little bit of reducer if necessary, depending on the size of your spray gun, just a little bit for flow. And you're actually going to do it like when I applied it, it's a little more on the dry side, because all you're doing is trying to just wash out that color that you see. So the effect coat was our Hot Rod Sparkle Green, and again, that's over a black base. So you start with a black base. For this case, we used the effect coat of the Hot Rod Sparkle Green, and then our graphics were done over that, where we cocktailed a little bit of Hot Rod Sparkle Green and Hot Rod Sparkle White, and a little bit of our Emerald Green candy. Now you can use any color in our line between our Hot Rod Sparkles and our Candy 2.0 line. So that's totally up to you. But I just want to stress also, because of the candy black and how easy it is to over apply, you're going to want to do a test panel. I actually did this once, and we had a panel that I did a trial run on, and I did 4 coats of candy black, and it ended up being a really cool effect, but it was really muted for what we wanted. So I ended up throttling it back, and you can see in the video we did 2 coats, and that was like right on the edge of really letting that hot rod sparkle show through, but not really pushing everything into kind of just a really dark background. So test panel, if you guys have never done this, it's something you're going to want to do. It's definitely a good way to see where you guys are or what you want to do for the effect that you want. So that pretty much wraps everything up, and we're going to take this thing outside and see if we can get some sunlight on it so you guys can see it. Okay guys, we are outside in full sun, and I really think you guys are going to be impressed with how this looks. This really doesn't do it justice in the booth. So this full sun, you guys can see from my angle it looks black, and as I'm turning it, that's all I'm seeing is that hot rod sparkle and those graphics with the candy on them. So again, this thing is going to look really cool if you guys do something that's really rounded, has a lot of curves to it, or something that has a lot of sharp body lines. It's going to look like 2 completely different colors. So that about wraps it up for this video. This is Murdered Ghosted Candy Graphics. I'm Chris Arpin, Createx Colors, and we'll see you guys next time.